Hi, today I'll be demoing Lapce. This is an extended version of Lapce, which I forked from GitHub. What I did was uh, add components to and panels to the right sidebar. As you can see, this is the AI assistant panel, the generator panel, the dashboard panel, and the environment manager panel. The goal of this project was to help users um, build websites faster from both a front end and a back end perspective. I chose this particular editor because Lapce doesn't have an AI agent built into it yet. So that alone uh, had a little more provided more challenges um, and ones that I just didn't anticipate for, which I'll get to at the end. So I'll begin by showing the features of some of it. I already added some information for a project generator. In this project bootstrapper panel, users can edit a project name, framework, um, CSS frameworks, visual style, project summary. They can add pre-existing routes. I just did a simple landing page and login. They can add environment variables and backend intent. Over here you see Vercel token. The idea behind this is that users would enter their Vercel token so they could deploy this with a click of a button. The challenges behind this was we had to, because Vercel works with GitHub, it added a whole new component and the CLI was outdated, so that just provided more challenges. And there is a workaround. I could use the updated CLI, which I just, due to time constraints, didn't have time to. So because of the time constraints, I focused on the front end perspective. But for the most part, this back end logic is implemented to some degree. I'll just go ahead and generate the project. And once the project gets generated, I will open that project workspace folder. Okay, as you can see, it got generated. So let's run npm install. Let's run it. And this is what gets generated. So this, as you can see here, there's no login form. This is something that was working before, but I haven't been able to figure out a permanent fine tuning so that it always generates. It kind of comes and goes. I think it has to do with what I'm putting in the description, but the page does get created, as you can see, with the hero section. So now I'll try to create another page using the page generator. Let's just do a simple dashboard. There, as you can see, the dashboard gets created. Now let's add a component. Let's just call it header, or let's just rather call it the users can refresh to see all the pages that they generated. I want to add this to the dashboard page, so let's run it. As you can see, it gets created here. So that is pretty much it. When the user wants to deploy, they could ideally they could click this button, and as you can see, it's failing. They need to I won't put my token because it doesn't work anyway, but ideally they would read it from here, and here I'll put a fake token for now. That must have been an old. As you can see, there's also a feature here that tells you that's not a Git repo, so let's initialize a Git. Once it's initialized, as you can see, it updates here. And the environment variable, as you can see, we created it here. Once it gets updated, once it gets saved, it's also applied here. They could delete it and it'll be applied there. The idea is so they don't always have to go back to the environment file, and they could just go to this panel and just update it as they go. There, as you can see, it gets, they can even change it. And it gets updated. There's some minor polishing that needs to be done here, as you can see. But it, functionality-wise, it does work. And this is something that I would find useful myself. So I don't have to always go back to the environment file, the .env file. If it's a big project and there's a lot of folders that are open, I could simply just go to the panel and update it from there. So that is it for all the functions, the main functions. The AI assistant also needs some fine tuning. I created a prompt that I could show you what it currently does. The prompt I entered was to edit the login page to have input fields. So it analyzes the request. And ideally, it should replace it directly, but there's some refinement logic that needs to be done for this as well. But it does provide an outcome. It looks like this actually does work. Let's see if... Okay, so yeah, there needs to be some refinement for this as well. But overall, this was a fun project to do. I may have gone a little ambitious, but I think that the end product of this would be very useful, especially for myself and fellow developers. As I mentioned before, the deployment to Vercel had issues because of having to connect to GitHub, and the solution for that would have been to update the deployment process from a backend perspective and maybe use the CLI. I'm going to test that out and see if that provides a solution, but I think that's going to be the hardest part of this this feature. Also, one of the things I tried to work on and had its own challenges was output quality. So instead of the basic stuff that you see, it'll have more rich and user-friendly and follow all the best practices in terms of a visual layout. But again, going back to the prompt fine-tuning, that was a critical challenge, and because we're making an AI assistant from scratch, essentially, there needed to be a lot of fine-tuning and testing and accounting for all scenarios. Sometimes as I was building this out, and for like things like the project bootstrapper generator, it would always output projects that would fail, like when I would install the dependencies. So overall, this was a very challenging but also fun project to do. AI handled the heavy lifting of the panel creation, so I could focus on polishing and debugging. I had to continuously add guardrails, update those guardrails as we went along, and this project also taught me how to build on existing apps and brownfielding them, especially for desktop applications, as that's something I didn't have experience with. AI helped me bridge unfamiliar areas faster. It helped me figure out prompt and guardrails design and how to better fine-tune them. While I iterated on the panels, even when the outputs weren't perfect, it assisted in starting points to build off of. The meaningful outcome of this was I gained a real experience extending a desktop app in a new stack that I haven't used before. Now that I understand integration points, finishing the end-to-end vision beyond just the front end and basic implementation would be much easier and more fun, in my opinion. I'm excited to see where this goes, and I hope that this can eventually be a finished product.